Welcome you all here today. All of you that are watching at home on Fox Sports Southwest and live streaming on Fox Sports Go or listening on the ticket, thank you. We have a bunch of special guests in here today. We have a beautiful family sitting up here in the front. Over here we have our current captain, Jamie Benn. We have a former captain, Brendan Morrow, Marty Turco, who serves many purposes. Go check out the Dallas Stars Foundation. We'd like to thank you all for being here. We'll get right into this. If you notice to my left, I have a bunch of people named Jim. We'll start to my immediate left. It's our CEO, Jim Lights. You all know him well. Fresh off of 5 years at the University of Denver, that's Jim Montgomery. And at the very end, our general manager, Jim Nill. And right now, I'll turn it over to Jim Nill for his words.
Well, welcome everybody. Before I get started, I want to acknowledge on behalf of the Dallas Stars, Jason Witten. Jason, as everybody knows, retired yesterday, and he's a big part of the Dallas community, of the sports scene, and there's probably nobody that lived his life better, first of all, as a player on the field, but probably more important, off the field, and I know that his best days are ahead, so congratulations, Jason. As we went through this process, we started 4 weeks ago. Ken Hitchcock retired, and we knew we were going to be looking for a new coach. And it was a good chance for our organization to sit down, and I talked to them all and said, let's go through this. Let's not leave any leaf unturned, every door open. Let's look at every candidate. Let's see, the game is changing, life changes, and we wanted to make sure we didn't forget somebody. So we started going through the process. We had a great list, and it was a great list. There's veteran players, veteran coaches. There was some younger personnel, younger coaches out in juniors and colleges. There were some internal candidates, and it was a good process for our organization. We're always looking for the right type of people, the right coach. Success is important. You're talking about systems, power play, penalty killing, all those type of things. But in the end, when we got down to the short straws, there was two things that separated the person that's going to get the job. And the first thing was the person that we were looking at. It didn't matter what team he had. Sometimes when you coach at different levels, you take on a team and you can't make trades. You can't change the 20 to 25 players you have for that year. Those are the players you have. And when a person has success at any level with that type of situation where your team is changing year by year, you continue to have success, you can't make trades, but you continue to win, that's something special. And that's what we were looking for. That's what helped to kind of narrow down the candidates. And then the second thing that was most important is, how is this candidate going to fit in with our philosophy moving forward? And when we met the right person, I knew who it was right away. He ticked off both those boxes. I know where we want to take this franchise moving forward, and I know that we found the right person for it. So I'm just going to pass this over to Jim for a few minutes, and then.
Thanks, Jimmy. We've got to get used to what we're going to call each other. And not hey you. Anyway, I'm really happy to be here today. I can tell you guys my greatest goal in this process was to never stand in front of the cameras again with a coaching candidate. And I think we've been able to achieve that with the hiring of Jim Montgomery. I've gotten engaged in this process more significantly than I would have been in prior years, because it's a really important hire for us. This is a situation where we have a team that is in its prime, we think. We anticipate involving our younger group and engaging them with our veterans. We think we've got a team that should and will compete for the Stanley Cup every season. So it was a really important hire for us. And I've got to just say one thing. I got asked by Jim Nill to go to dinner about, I guess, 10 days ago now, with Jim Montgomery. and I didn't have any. Jim and I missed each other in his stint in with the Dallas Stars. Was it a cup of coffee? It was my 1 year in Phoenix. So Jim and I hadn't met before, and I got to tell you, in the 2-hour dinner we had together, I walked away and told my wife, that is the best job interview I've ever been involved in. This was a guy I could relate to. I thought the fans could relate to. Certainly our players would. He was intelligent, articulate, funny, friendly, hard, you know, has a family, is engaged with them, engaged with his players. And as I started to call and talk to other people about this hire, I never heard anything that wasn't glowing. The best kept secret in hockey, some pretty significant people told me. And so on behalf of Tom Ghilardi and the Ghilardi family, we are really thrilled that we're here today to introduce Jim Montgomery as the next head coach of the Dallas Stars.
The best part of all this, the final kick to the can that got him the job was, I know when we have a bad loss and the owner calls and asks for Jim, I'm going to pass him on to I'm going to tell the operator to pass on to these two guys. So with that, everybody, I'd like to welcome Jim Montgomery, next head coach.
Any photographers in the house that want to come up and grab a few photos of them? All right, well, let's get into the fun part of this. We're going to turn it over to you. We also have Bob Basson from the Alumni Association. Thank you for coming, Bob. So we've got a lot of special guests. We can get to them after. Anybody you need, they'll be available after. Right now, we're going to turn it over to you guys. We have Ashley on the left with the microphone and Krista on the right here. Please raise your hand, grab a mic. When you're asking a question, state your name, where you're from, and then specifically, you're going to have to get deep into names first, middle, last, so they know who you're talking to. So we'll turn it over to you guys.
Should I make a couple of comments?
Chat a little bit.
Go ahead.
All right. First of all, it's going to be real easy. I'm going to go by Monty. I'm not going to go by Jim. Not as young as these guys, so I'm going to go by Monty. Listen, this is an awesome day for the Montgomery family. This job was something that we wanted, and just very happy that it came to fruition. I have to thank Tom Ghilardi and the Ghilardi family, President Jim Lights and General Manager Jim Nill, for giving me the privilege to coach this hockey team. You know, for our family, we loved our life in Denver, and we loved I loved my job. And the only way I was going to move from a great position was for an opportunity that was better. And for 3 reasons, this job for us is better. One, family decision. My beautiful wife, Emily, and I thought that the quality of life in Dallas is something that we wanted. And this great city, we think, is a great place to raise our 4 rugrats. 2 is, I always believe you make decisions based on people. And when I met Tom and Bob Ghilardi in Vancouver, there's 2 things that jumped out at me. Is one, they're loyal people, and over the course of conversations, I found out that they have managers in several divisions in their business empire that have been with them for over 40 years. And then the second thing was, for the incredible success they've had, is how humble they are. 2 was Jim Lights. You know, when he came to dinner, I was moved by his passion for the Dallas Stars and for this city. And his energy is something that resonated with me. And then I do remember in my short stint as a player here, which I hope my coaching career is going to last a little longer, was that I remember Darian Hatcher saying, like, after one of our games, that the energy in the building wasn't the same. And he attributed it to our president not being here anymore. And to me, I'd never heard a player talk about a team president before. So obviously really excited to work with Jim on a daily basis. And then Jim Nill, you know, I've been through this process a few times, and instantly when I met him, I was moved by his vision and his plan and how he was going to execute it. to get the Dallas Stars back to the top. And I remember when he dropped me off at the airport thinking, I hope I impressed him half as much as he impressed me, because I want to work with this guy. And then the third thing is opportunity to win. And when I look at this lineup, I really get excited. You know, it has everything you want. It has star power, you have depth, you have size, you have skill, and you have speed at every position. I look forward to getting to know everybody, and I look forward to working with them. You know, I can't say enough. I have to say, you know, Ken Hitchcock, what a great career. Easily one of the best NHL coaches of all time. And I wish him nothing but success, and one of the brightest minds to ever coach in this game at the NHL level. Also want to thank the people at the University of Denver, especially my staff and players. Wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for them, and I'll be a pioneer for life. Coaching style, I'm pretty simple. I'm a process-oriented coach who believes in a first-team approach. Every decision we're going to make is what is best for the Dallas Stars, and we're going to think team. On the ice, for the Dallas Stars fan, if you can think of an adjective of what we're going to look like, it's going to be relentless. We're going to be a puck possession team, and we're going to try and make plays everywhere on the ice. And when we don't have the puck, we're going to pressure you so we can get it back and make more plays. So, that in a nutshell, it's great to be here in Dallas.
Good choice. When the Dallas Stars play, there's one guy you can't stop watching, Tyler Seguin. And this Addy Zero jersey from Adidas is the perfect way to celebrate this four-time All-Star. Designed with tougher, lighter materials, it'll make you a winner like Tyler every time you wear it.
Sold. Thanks, Tyler Seguin. I'll wear it every game. I'll watch you wearing it, and I'll be wearing it.
Twinsies.
Twinsies.
Get your authentic NHL gear at shop.nhl.com. As official gets.
Nutshell, it's great to be here in Dallas.
Mike Heike, I'm with the Dallas Morning News. Hey, Monty. Can you explain the thinking behind the process, and does it have to adapt to the NHL and the difference, I guess, in the level of play and how the numbers work with the NHL?
Yeah, I've already been thinking about that. You know, there is keys to the game that I think give the team and individuals a pretty simple understanding of what we value as a team that will give us success. College, I did 7. You know, you only have 34 regular season games. Here we have a lot more. Probably going to move it down to 5. I'll have my 4 mainstays, and I'll probably rotate 1 every game, depending on who our opponent is.
Kevin Sherrington, Dallas Morning News. I'm assuming you wanted to get back to the NHL level eventually to be a head coach. What made you decide to go coaching college where there have been so few guys who'd made that jump?
Opportunity, people, money, all those things. But, you know, I wouldn't say that I was looking to get back to the NHL, though. I would say that, you know, like I said in my opening statement, to leave the University of Denver, which, you know, was just a terrific place to live with quality people, I would have had to have come to a place that had those same elements and even a higher level, and that's what I think I found here.
Sean Shapiro with The Athletic. How quickly did you know this was the fit when you were looking at things? Because I know you had some interest last year in teams. How quickly, when you were going through this process, did you know this was the place you wanted to be?
I think when I met with Jim and Mark Janko was at dinner as well, I think I left there and I remember I called my wife and said, if they offer, we're leaving.
Mike Leslie from WFAA. For Jim Nill, this is a team that the last couple of years hasn't achieved what maybe it could or should have. What made you think that Monty is the guy to fix that problem?
Well, as I mentioned, I think the game is changing, and it's, in the end, it's dealing with people. And I think, you know, over the last 5 years, we've had the 5th youngest team in the NHL. And that's a stat I don't think that people really understand sometimes. And I think it's important to get, you know, when I interviewed Monty here, I know he'd been through that route. He did the Tier 2 one there. He'd done college one there. It's dealing with the players, the younger players, and on top of it, winning. And he's done that. And he's a guy that's been on our radar screen. I remember meeting him back in RPI days. He was an assistant coach in RPI. I met him back there, and you could just see the passion he had. He had that passion, that fire, and he's built his resume up the right way. He's done the assistant coach in college. He's gone back to Tier 2 hockey, won championships. He's gone to Denver, built one of the top programs in college hockey. You know, it's about winning, and he's found a way to do it, and especially a way to do it in today's game.
Jim, are you concerned at all about having a first-year coach who has no NHL experience and with a goal, I think, of trying to win a Stanley Cup next year? It seems like there's a lot of pressure there to have immediate success.
Well, that was what's great about this process. You know, we started looking at other teams. You know, you're always, you never stop analyzing yourself and the rest of the league. And when we were starting to analyze the NHL, we saw the success that some of the younger coaches are. You know, you look at John Cooper. Came from, I believe he's in Green Bay, made a jump from Green Bay to Syracuse to all of a sudden the NHL. Now he's coaching Tampa Bay. Bruce Cassidy, you got John Hines in New Jersey. The game's evolving. And that's where we sit down. When we started this process, we started looking and we said, you know, there's some great veteran coaches out there. There's some great names. There were some guys that are in the minor leagues ready to step up. And that's when we started to look at the juniors and colleges. And I just know we've been watching Jim, watching his career for the last 3-4 years. I talked to other teams that he'd interviewed with last year, had opportunities to go. And once we went through this process, I just think, you know, who was Scotty Bowman? Somebody gave him a chance. Who was Mike Babcock? Somebody gave him a chance. This is a guy that he deserves a chance, and I think he's going to do the job for us.
You had talked about 3 weeks ago about looking at all options, making testing a wide net. Why did the net come before you before you found your right candidate like this?
The net was very wide. It was a good process. We sat down with our staff, and I asked everybody, okay, let's start putting the names down. Let's look through everything. And we did. And we narrowed it down to probably 10 names, 5 kind of veteran guys that are out there, and 5 guys that we thought could be the next coach, that they deserve that opportunity. And in the end, we went through that process from there. And it's funny, Jim mentions the meeting. The minute I met Jim, you know, I'd met him before and that, but I never really sat down and really talked hockey and life and everything else. And the minute I met him, I knew that, you know, this is a guy that's going to be a fit for us. I believe in his values. He's a great family man. There's a lot that goes to this. It's just not being a hockey coach, and it's about being big in the community. He checked off all the boxes. And in the end, I know Jim Lights and I, when we talked after the interview and stuff, we both had the same feelings. Mark Jenko was in that also, and the rest of our staff. And once we, I sent him up to meet the Ghilardi family up in Vancouver, and they had that same feeling, and that's when we got aggressive on this and went from there.
Bruce Levine, Dallas Stars Radio. Monty, when you look at the NHL today, what team style do you like and want to see your team play like?
Good question. I think I steal from everybody, to be honest. There's parts of Pittsburgh I like. There's parts of the LA Kings I like. There's parts of the Hawks I like. Everything's going to be in line with how we want to play as our team identity. If it fits, we're going to use it, and it's going to make us better. But we are going to be, I think you look at the championship teams that have won in the NHL, it's, you know, Chicago, Pittsburgh, you know, the Detroit when Jim Nill was there. The teams play a certain way. There's structure to their game, but there's creativity and flair to it too. And you have to let the horses run, and you got to just have structure. Everyone should look the same when we don't have the puck, and when we do have the puck, everybody should play to their strengths.
Monty, how about you in dealing with older players? I know you've coached mostly younger players for your whole career, really. Have you put any thought process into how you relate to them? And does being a player back in the day with a lot of these guys who, you know, are contemporaries, I think, does that help in the process of dealing with older players?
Yes, I think, you know, you can always draw from your playing days. Like when I was in the American League, I was a go-to player. When I was in the NHL, I was patting guys over, get over the boards and go get us a goal, you know. And but watching that, I think helped me formulate my ideas, you know. And what was the first part you said?
That's the thing. How do you how do you relate to him? I mean, you know, Jason Spezza, it can actually be pretty natural because I think you understand what he's going through as a skilled player, and you know, you've played in professional leagues dealing with some of the same issues.
Yeah, well, as far as how I treat players, I mean, I believe you treat men like men. Even in junior hockey, I treat them like men. You know, I got 3 simple team rules, if they are rules. It's be on time, be prepared, and do the right thing. Represent the Dallas Stars. So I think if you treat guys with respect and they know where the lines are and there's going to be repercussions if they don't do the right thing, I think they respect that and they fall in line.
You know, it's not a long list of coaches that have made the jump straight from a head coaching job in college to the NHL, but have you spoken to Dave Haxtell? Have you spoken to anyone about what kind of you have to do to kind of make that transition?
I spoke to Dave Haxtell just actually 4 days ago, you know, just about his transition, not specifically about what he did or what he wouldn't do. I'll probably reach back out to him, but maybe now because I'm in the league, he might not share that. But, you know, I'm a person that likes ideas from everybody. Like during this whole process, for me to make the right decision, I want knowledge from who I think are the best people and minds in the hockey world. So, I mean, I talked to Scotty Bowman, I talked to Quenneville, I talked to Babcock, I talked to McClellan, I talked to Stevens. I mean, I like to steal other people's ideas and use them for my own benefit.
Looking at when you look at the Stars, one thing that your Denver teams, you always had defensemen that moved the puck really well, and you've got a couple in Dallas already. Is that another thing that excited you about this group when you were looking at this team?
Yeah, the mobility and the ability of a lot of the defensemen to make plays. You know, we are going to try and break out through the middle of the ice in the D zone if we can, and if we don't, we're going to have speed coming to the puck above it and below it, so that whoever has the puck and they're under pressure, they're always going to know their outs. And in a neutral zone with this D-core, I can see us really doing some creative stuff and allowing our forwards to build speed and get pucks and carry them into the zone with speed and be able to hopefully create odd man rushes off of it.
Coach Peter Dawson, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. You know, you weren't here at the end of last season, and obviously for this team, things didn't finish the way they wanted down the stretch. And is that something as a coach, you know, do you talk with guys about that? Do you look at, you know, that on tape, or do you kind of just say that's in the past and we got to just kind of move past it with the guys that we have?
Well, I'll review a lot of the games from last year just to get to know the players and how they play and what their strengths and weaknesses are. But really, you know, what happened last year or in the last couple of years, or it's not going to influence. It's going to be a different style of play, and we're going to play to a puck possession, puck pressure game. And although a lot of coaches coach like that, I'm a little bit different in how we go about it.
I've heard you use a lot of NHL film and stuff in training for college. Do you feel you're plugged into the NHL as it is right now and the players that are playing right now?
Yeah, I mean, I watch it as a fan right now. Now I'm starting to watch it more as a competitor. So, yeah, I think I'm pretty plugged in.